Alright guys, I am hanging out with Connor and we're about to feed 5 rattlesnakes all at one time, which is kind of complicated, right Connor?
It's a little complicated. As long as they don't bother each other, everything will go just fine.
So we're going to have to make sure that they don't bite each other, obviously, when we're feeding them. So there's 5 rattlesnakes down here.
Yeah, there's 2 under the rock here, the big mom, and you can see her head there.
And that is actually one of the moms of one of the other rattlesnake videos we did earlier.
Yeah,
right?
It is also the mom of this one and the 2 that are out running around right now. All 3 of the littler ones that are out and about right now. She's the mom of those as well.
We got rattlesnakes all over. We got a lot of rattlesnakes here, man.
Yep.
There's a lot of rattlesnakes here. So what are we gonna feed first?
That one over there.
This one over here?
The back, yeah. I'm just trying to toss it to him. Window for the guy near the window.
Right.
Oh no, the albino wants it.
Over the albino? There you go. And there's the guy by the window. Did he get it already? No, he didn't. There he goes.
And mom.
There he goes.
Mom has decided she...
Whoa! She came up.
Mm-hmm. And Dad, are you gonna come out and get you one? Right? Mom's
No, she's looking for the head. Yeah, she's looking right there for the head.
Yeah,
there she goes.
She's done this once or twice. She knows right where it's at.
Yeah, there she is. She is not messing around. She's going for food.
Alright, there's a western diamondback. He's got the head in his mouth with the rat. Alright, now he's swallowing it. Wow. Now these snakes here don't actually use their fangs to help push the prey down their throat. So he's actually using his secondary teeth on the upper row to hold it, and teeth on the lower jaw to flex back and forth to actually force it down his throat. Now western diamondbacks are kind of unique. Like most rattlesnakes in the US, they have lighter stripes that surround a darker stripe that runs through their eye. You notice that he kind of got an eye that looks like the mask of a raccoon. Pretty distinctive of most venomous rattlesnakes. Now it's going to take him a little while to swallow this. I do believe there's more than one rattlesnake inside of this enclosure. Alright, there he goes. Now western diamondbacks are probably responsible for most of the venomous snake bites in the southwestern portion of the US. Probably about 250 bites a year, if not more. But being a rattlesnake, they do give off a warning system. But when a rat approaches, normally they won't vibrate their rattles.
You can just see her size. See her size?
Yeah, as long as I can see the male's body under the rock there. He's probably not coming out to get me. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
But
don't try anything at home, guys.
yeah. Rattlesnakes are not meant to be touched unless you know what you're doing.
I honestly don't know how many people on my channel are role models. Connor? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Unless you know
what you're doing.
Please don't play with rattlesnakes.
Don't play with rattlesnakes.
There we have an albino western diamondback. Swallowing another rat in the same enclosure. Now I'm not too sure how far that rat is down his throat. It looks a little more than 3/4 of the way down. Alright, there you go. He's just about to swallow it. He's working the hindquarters in. Now a lot of times after these snakes actually swallow their prey, they readjust their jaws, and when doing so, you can actually see them stretch their fangs to realign them. It's pretty amazing when they do that. Now they swallow fairly slow, but these animals are very capable. You can see his rattle over there. This snake doesn't look very old by looking at the segments of a rattle. And looking at the tip of the rattle, I can actually see the baby button. That gave me a pretty good indication about how old this animal is. He's probably around 2 years old, comparative to the segments on the rattle. But there the rat goes, right down his throat. So he's kind of using his muscles now to push it down a little bit. There you see another snake crawling up there on the rock. So he's trying to avoid that snake. Usually once the animal gets pretty far down their throat, they don't have to worry about some of the other snakes trying to feed on it. You have to be very careful when you feed snakes in the same enclosure, because a lot of instinctive traits take over. And what will happen is one snake will strike at the other snake, sometimes missing the prey and biting the other snake. So you want to make sure that doesn't happen. The one you see crawling on the rock there is a normal looking western diamondback. Oh, look at that one. There's another western diamondback. Alright, he's almost done too. He's working his way down, swallowing the hindquarters of the animal. What's that? Oh, he's readjusting the rat so he can actually find the head where the snake is looking. The snake is actually looking, it's going to wiggle it. I bet you the snake's going to strike at it, thinking it's alive. But if not, he'll just start to swallow it. There you go. Oh, that's a grab and hold on. Snake doesn't want to release. Basically what the snake is doing now, even though the animal is pre-killed, he'll actually grab it, inject venom, hold on to it, and he'll wait for the prey to die. But he's actually going to swallow it a little bit quicker than normal because the prey is actually already dead. Now the localized envenomation will only cause deterioration of the tissue in that localized area. Since the venom doesn't circulate through the body, it's incapable of digesting the whole animal as if the animal had a circulatory system. So this is what we call localized envenomation. And there he goes. He's starting to swallow it already. Normally this would take a few minutes because the snake would feel the heartbeat of the animal and he would wait for the heartbeat to cease. He's pulling it into a better position. He's a little skeptical. So he's going to start to swallow that animal. And this one's just about done over here. I can see the tail. Now they swallow fairly slow because they're very careful, but once they get it pretty much down their throat, they can use their muscles, undulate their body, and push it down into their stomach. And that's pretty much what the snake is doing. You got to watch out for that other one coming up. The albino already swallowed his, so he might be coming around to see if he can find something else. Ooh, there's another one on the rock. Looks like she's swallowing another rat up there. Got to be careful with that albino over there. Sometimes you can't just satisfy one. It's like a potato chip. Alright, the one on the rock. Yeah, he just got the front head down, working over the front legs. Alright, trying to keep that albino from going over there. Trying to sneak up on the other prey. Because a lot of times you get snakes starting on one end, you get a snake starting on the other end, and you're going to have a problem. Sometimes they won't release, and then who's ever got the bigger mouth will actually swallow the other snake. Looks like the albino got himself another rat. Insatiable. Look at that snake swallow. As if he hadn't one, or if he hadn't had two, now he's having three.
Because these use in the wild, they're not going to eat as regularly as these guys will eat.
Yeah, that's for sure. I am going to throw the other small one in there just in case. Because it looks like the albino's going to go steal that one over there instead.
Yeah, the albino is actually coming for this one over here.
Yeah.
First, I mean, obviously they're going to envenomate them. In the wild, they're envenomating them.
Yeah.
These rats are already dead, but they're still going to give a little bit of time to make sure if they think they might be alive. But we're moving them a little bit with the tongs. Oh, yeah, you're rattling a lot right there, aren't you? Oh, there's some veins there.
There you go, sir.
You're kind of traffic directing them, keeping them apart so that they don't bite each other, right?
Yeah, and so that they leave each other alone so they can eat properly. Yeah, the albino's going for hers there.
Yeah, she's a step ahead of the game with these guys.
Alright, the rattlesnake's checking around, looking for more prey. Alright, he's working his way around. Up. He's going on the other side, looking for the head. There he goes. He's going to start swallowing. I can see his mouth moving up and down. Now we're swallowing another rat. He didn't bite it with a feeding response. He just opens up his mouth and begins to swallow.
That's because he already
Since
knows
these
it's dead.
rats, yeah, he already knows it's dead. But since these rats are not envenomated while they're alive, they're going to be very hard to digest. A lot of times when you feed snakes like this, especially your rattlesnakes, they may regurgitate their food, especially if you feed them more than one rat. So you want to be very careful when you feed snakes like this, especially without envenomation relative to the live prey. That's why I always feed live. It's easier for these animals to digest. If I was to give him two, he'd digest it very easily.
But there's also a lot of snake owners who basically feel like because the rat could fight back, it could potentially hurt the snake too. So it's kind of a judgment call.
Well, not necessarily. You can let the snake bite the rat, take the rat out, let the rat die, and then throw it back in the cage and let the snake eat it.
So that's an option too.
Okay? But they don't want to leave the rat in there because it might do harm to the snake. Then don't leave it in there.
Yeah.
Okay? But a lot of times the rat won't do harm to the snake. Most of the time when you feed a rattlesnake, a rodent, basically a lot of times the snake will bite the rodent when it's live. And because they vibrate the rattles, trying to scare the rat away, basically the rat is overwhelmed with the situation and he attacks where the sound is coming from. So normally when they bite the snake, they always attack the rattle. And that's what these snakes do, okay? Normally they won't bite the snake in the head or try to bite, where it can do more damage.
Yeah.
They'll usually go after the rattle. And most herpers and keepers, they don't want to have a rattlesnake with a damaged rattle. They like to let those rattles, the segments on the rattles, grow very long. Each time the snake sheds, it's pretty. But each time the snake sheds, basically he adds a new segment to the rattle. And most rattlesnakes will shed between maybe 4 to 6 times a year during the course of their spring and summer.
Now, in an enclosure like this where there's so many rattlesnakes, it would be really, really hard to do a live feeding because you'd have rats running in different directions and they don't all have the same one. and like, yeah.
No, I totally agree with you on that end. I would actually separate each and every snake if I was to feed them live. I would never throw live food in with 6 or 7 different snakes.
Yeah.
Even if it was 2 to 4. Basically all you're asking for is trouble. Because what's going to happen is the rattlesnake or any other snake is going to strike at whatever moves once their feeding responses get geared. So it's not a good idea to actually feed live food with a bunch of snakes in the same cage, whether it be venomous or otherwise. You're just asking for trouble, unless you can keep them separated. If you're not going to be vigilant, I wouldn't feed them. I noticed that we're very vigilant here and we're keeping each snake away from the other, so there won't be any problems in feeding these animals. And you can see the snakes are very comfortable in feeding. So they don't actually seem to have a problem. But the curiosity also extends to the fact that once one snake gets done with his food, he's looking around for another.
He's looking for another already because he knows there's more food in there. He can smell it.
Oh, of course.
And then the other thing is that you notice how all the other snakes are protective. Like, they'll grab their food and they'll go away a little bit. Now, I'm filming this with a GoPro right in front of them, and so they see the GoPro a little bit, but they're not really not scared. But they also are kind of protective from the other snakes, so they'll grab their food and they'll drag it over there and say, hey, I'm going to eat it over here on my own.
Yeah, well, they don't like any disturbance. The GoPro is inanimate, so they don't sense any kind of threat for it from the camera. But if you were to stick your hand in there, that would be a different story.
For sure.
So basically, they don't like to be disturbed when they're feeding. They don't like other snakes touching them, like you see that snake right there, which makes that snake a little more skeptical about starting to feed. But once they get comfortable enough, they'll just open up their mouth. And if you do this routine enough, basically these snakes here will actually get comfortable to a point where they just start to swallow. They don't even care.
You can see this guy right here checking out his environment with his tongue.
Yeah, he's flickering around, checking out what's around him. Okay, looking for more prey, trying to get a sense of what direction.
To the left, to the right, something like that. I'm actually gonna try to do this without getting bit. I want to get you guys a good angle. Famous last words, right?
Yeah, watch out for the one you don't see behind you.
Is there another one back there?
No.
I see the one that's right in front of me. I do know he doesn't have a rat in his mouth. He could spin around and do something.
If he so desired, he could, yes.
Now that was pretty cool, dude. 5 rattlesnakes at the same time.
Well, 4. The male didn't eat, but he was in there.
So there were 5 rattlesnakes in there, but 4 of them eating at the same time. You had an albino rattlesnake in there.
Yep.
You had.
What do you mean? You have one male with 3 females?
Yeah, he's a lucky dude.
We don't.
I wouldn't eat either.
We don't know the gender on the 3 little ones that we're eating.
Okay.
But the one male was hiding up under the rock the whole time.
Yeah, so the dad was actually hiding up the rock. He didn't come out. He is actually one that actually at one point in time came out of the wild, so he's kind of got a more of a personality where he's a little more timid, probably doesn't eat quite as much.
Yeah, and he doesn't eat
as often, because
regularly.
in the wild you're not going to get food every single week.
Yeah.
And they can actually go a long time without eating.
They can go weeks and weeks without eating.
Very, very cool. Thank you so much for showing us that,
Yeah,
guys.
not a problem.
Make sure you guys check out Colorado Gators. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them in Moscow, Colorado. You can actually come out here. Super cool place. And go ahead and hit that subscribe button for new snakes, crocodiles, alligators, sharks, all kinds of cool stuff. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you soon.